You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up better. Put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the first part of What If Deku Meets X-Men. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of Masterob on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. The first semester of UA High was over. The students, whether they passed or failed their practical exam, were to be sent to a summer camp in the woods. There were growing concerns however, due to various villain acts that endangered the students. Pro-heroes have remained vigilante throughout the city, especially the ones visiting the country from overseas, including but not limited to Peter Parker, better known as Spiderman, and his wife Princess Twilight Sparkle, hero named Amethyst Sorceress. Their daughter Mayday Parker is a UA student, as is their niece Princess Flurry Heart, and they would protect the two with their lives. One person that Spider-Man hoped to find was the leader of the League of Villains, Tamura Shigaraki. The webbed hero swung through the city, hoping to find any sign of the dastardly villain who just recently threatened two UA students, those being his niece Flurry and her best friend, a boy that this hero believed could be the future, that boy being izukumidoriya. Wherever you are Tamura Shigaraki, I'm going to find you, and I'm gonna bust up your whole freaky operation, Peter said. At a bar, Shigaraki was seen stacking some cards. MSTR is incredible, he found where those idiot kids were going in no time at all. Really showed me up. It was worth having a team on standby then, his partner Kurojiri said. Yeah, I guess, Shigaraki said, his tower falling just as the door to the bar opened. Hey, expect a DLVRY tomorrow. It was thrown together quickly so it might not look like much, came the voice of Jiren. But I promise that the quality is worth it. I apologize for asking a lot of you, Kurojiri said. It's all good, Jiren said. But tell me this Shigaraki, do you know why the union accepted this order of yours? Because he's such a good little boy for his MSTR, came the voice of Pyro, the villain sitting at a nearby table with his teammates Avalanche, Boom Boom and Toad. Shigaraki didn't appreciate that just much. Grow up, or do you want to be turned to ash? I don't need fire to reduce you to such a state. Take a joke mate, Pyro said. Maybe they accepted it because they think you can pull it off, or they hope you can. He's on the mark, Jiren said. The union has pretty high expectations. If the league steps into the light then the scum on the side will follow suit. If that happens, then brokers like me will be rolling in new customers. Who says crime doesn't pay? How nice, you'll be so busy in raking in all that cash, Shigaraki said in mock enthusiasm. I look forward to that. Anyway thanks, Jiren said, about to leave. Oh, one more thing, those guys from New York just flew in. Want me to send them here? Not yet, I'll send a team to meet them near the coordinates I'll send to them later, Shigaraki said. Fine by me, Jiren said, before finally leaving. Hey Tamura, Boom said. Are you sure you don't want us going with this team of yours? They could use the backup. You already had your fun, this way with a new team we can have the unknown advantage over them, and they won't be too quick to suspect us, Shigaraki said. Plus I want you around for when we capture our target. I think you'll remember him once he comes. I want you to help me, convince him to join our side. I don't know what you're planning Tamura, Pyro said. But something tells me I'm gonna like it. Shigaraki sinisterly chuckled, the board is set, time for the real game to begin. The next day at the UA school, the students waited outside, ready to start their trip to the woods. Now that your first semester at UA is over, it's time for your summer vacation, which means the start of your training, one teacher Shota Aizawa said. Don't expect months of rest, at this camp we'll push you to go beyond your limits, you're aiming to become plus ultra. Yes sir, the class said. After that was settled, Ochako Uraraka started to get herself pumped up for the trip. I'm so psyched. I've been looking forward to this forever. She leaned in close to Izuku. Are you excited, Deku? Izuku started to stammer. Yeah, very excited. She's so close. Hey, what's wrong? Ochako asked. Nothing, just a little hot, Izuku said. Ochako seemed a bit confused, then once again Yuga Aoyama's question ran through her head. Tell me, are you in love with him? Ochako started to freak and backed away. Let's hear it for camp. She started clapping and chanting, camp, camp, camp. To which Denki Kaminari, Mina Ashido and Princess Flurry Heart joined in. That happened, Izuku said. Yeah, Mayday Parker replied, walking over and placing her arm around Izuku. That girl's weird, and now she's making everyone else act weird, even my poor naive cousin. I heard some of Class 1A is taking extra courses, a voice shouted, that voice belonging to Class 1B's Nido Monama. Did any of them fail the final exams? Oh, how embarrassing for you. Aren't you supposed to be so much better than us? How very shameful. Suddenly his classmate Atsuka Kendo had karate chopped his neck, knocking the boy out. Don't mind him. As she dragged him off, many of his classmates looked to them in shame, especially Rina Howlett. That guy's AF weirdo, why am I stuck listening to his nonsense? Yo Rina. Mayday called. Ready for a kick but weak? You know it girl. Me in the woods feels way too natural, not gonna be that different from being back in Canada, Rina said. I forgot Class 1B's coming as well, Izuku said. A good chance to see each other outside the sports festival, 1B student Setsuna Togake said. Maybe this could be our chance to really bond, class to class, Rina said. I'd love to see how some of you improved after the sports festival. Rina unsheathed her claws and aimed them at Tsuyu Azui. Especially you frog girl. Me? Tsuyu asked. You trained with my parents didn't you? Mostly my pops. Rina asked. Yeah I did, Tsuyu said. Come to think of it, they both helped with your class's practical, and one of those students was the kid in the red hair, wasn't it? Rina asked. Before Kirishima could respond, Kendo called out. Time to board the bus. Hey come on Itsuka, we were still talking. Rina said. You can talk at the campsite, we need to go, Kendo said. Yeah, we shouldn't hold the buses up, student Reiko Yangi stated. Alright then Spooky, Rina said, then turned to 1A. See you bubs and bubettes at the camp. As they boarded, Franklin had called out to the class, have a safe trip. Will do, thank you. Izuku said. Wow, the Class 1B girls are just as lovely as the 1A girls, Minoru Mineta said, drooling at the sight of them. I feel so lucky. Pull yourself together dude, Kirishima said. Mayday had turned to Mineta, grinning sadistically, almost want to see him try something with Rina, see if he still has ball on him, and I don't mean the ones on his head. Class 1A. Tenya Ida called. Our bus is here, line up in seating order. Let's go Izuku, Mayday said, walking the boy onto the bus, still with her arm around his neck. She quickly glanced at Ochako, it almost seemed like the gravity girl was staring a moment, though she quickly turned away. Try not to get too jealous this week Ochako. As the buses pulled out, Peter Parker was seen observing from a nearby rooftop, though he was not along. The hero was joined by Twilight Sparkle, Wolverine, Fluttershy, Johnny Storm, Rainbow Dash, Sun Gohan and Videl. Think they'll be alright? Peter asked. Out in the woods for a week. According to All Might, not many know the exact location, Twilight said. Even we don't know, Gohan said. I mean Videl and I, the rest of you are parents or guardians to the kids so of course you would know. They better have told us, otherwise I would have raised hell, Rainbow Dash said. I think we can trust the pros sent to watch over the kids, especially after taking some matters into our own hands, Peter said. For now all we can do is find the League of Villains. Surprisingly there aren't many leads, Johnny said. Those crooks are pretty sneaky. I wish I had a chance to sense out some of their energy, but that would only take me so far, Gohan said. I imagine they don't give off a lot of power. They're not physically the strongest, but they're still dangerous, especially their leader, Peter said, thinking specifically of Shigaraki. Just the mere thought angered Peter, the hero angrily clenching his fists. Peter. Videl sensed his tension, everyone did. You seem angry. It was because he nearly killed Flurry, wasn't it? Logan asked. If I had caught him at the USJ, Flurry wouldn't have been in danger, it would have been my fault if she died. Peter couldn't bear the thought of a girl he loved as a daughter getting hurt. I can't believe I made such a foolish mistake that day. You couldn't help it, one of the villains had teleportation powers, Twilight said. But I knew he did, I saw him using it, yet I still let my guard down, Peter said. Probably because I thought 13 had it under control, but I shouldn't have left it all to her, I had Shigaraki in my clutches. Peter, I know how you feel, I've made that mistake myself, you were there when I let my guard down around Cell, Gohan reminded. Feeling angry about it won't help, but taking action will. Flurry's alive, that's all that matters. Plus, was she really in that much danger? Johnny asked. After all, Izukumidoriya was with her, and you know he wouldn't let Flurry die. Izuku. Peter thought of the boy he met a year ago, the boy who made the valiant attempt to save the life of his daughter. He kept both my girls safe, I feel nothing but gratitude for him. But, he was in danger too, his death would have been my fault as well. Stop blaming yourself. Twilight said. Flurry's my niece too, I have the responsibility to keep her safe as well. Let's just be grateful nothing happened to her and that we still have the chance to stop this guy. We'll keep all these kids safe, Logan said. And we'll stop Shigaraki, Twilight added. Count in it, Johnny reassured. Peter chuckled to himself a bit, what would I do without you all? We ask that about you too, Peter, Fluttershy said. You're just as much of a friend to us as we try to be for you. Such kindness, came a familiar voice. Makes sense given the pro known for it. Back again, Chun-Li? Peter said, turning to the woman. You know it, Chun-Li said. Pro hero Chun-Li, her quirk, chi control. She has the ability to use her chi to power her strikes, which she mainly uses for her kicks, along with other attacks. How does it feel to be back at UA? Twilight asked. Nostalgic, Chun-Li said, observing the school. This place helped hone me into the woman I am today. Just like it did for most of you. We're happy you're here though, Chun-Li. If anyone can help us find the League of Villains, it's China's best cop, Johnny said. I'll do my best to help keep everyone safe, Chun-Li said. Now, tell me all that you know. Later on, as the bus made its way to the camp, Aizawa had called their attention. Here's the deal, this bus has an hour ride before our first stop, make sure you stay focused. Let's blast some music. Kaminari said. I'm game. Mayday agreed. Hey. No standing, that's a safety hazard. Tenya shouted to a couple of classmates. Aizawa groaned in annoyance, why do I bother? Oh well, might as well let them have fun for now. Do not open that window, Mayday Parker. Tenya shouted. Oh, what's the worst that can happen? Mayday asked. Please listen to Ida, Mayday, Izuku begged. 1 hour later everyone had their first rest stop. Izuku took a moment to stretch, having felt cramped up in the ride. Finally, I really needed off that bus, Kaminari said. I gotta pee. Make room. Mineta shouted. No one needs to know what you gotta shoot out of your body. Mayday called. Mayday, that sounded kind of dirty, Mina said. It's Minoru Mineta, knowing him that probably turned him on, Mayday said. Gotta say, this doesn't seem like much of a rest area, Kirishima said, taking a look around what appeared to be a small parking lot. Where's Class 1B? Jiro asked. Yeah, wanted to see how Frankie and Rina were doing ahead of the camp, Flurry said. You don't think we just stopped here to stretch your legs, did you? Aizawa said. That seemed to surprise everyone, Mayday being the first to vocalize her opinion. Alright, what twisted plan do you have now, sensei? Suddenly a nearby car door opened, 2 girls and a boy popping out. Hey there, Eraser, one girl said. It's been a while, Aizawa replied, bowing to them. Your feline fantasies are here, meow, a brunette in orange said. The perfectly cute and cat-like girls, a blonde wearing blue said. You can call us, the wild pussycats, the girls introduced. Most of the class stood there in awkward silence at the duo of Mandalay and Pixie Bob, Mayday once again breaking that silence. You know, I expected this sooner or later, this being Japan and all, a country known for its many fetishes. Mayday. Flurry scolded. Aizawa shook his head. Mayday had quite a mouth on her. Honestly, it's been that way since the trip started. He figured she's letting this camp thing go to her head. He'll have to straighten her out later. These are the pros you're going to be training with. Oh wow. Izuku shouted. They're 2/4 of a mountain rescue group. They were founded when we were kids, like forever ago. That seemed to surprise the girls, something Flurry noticed. Izuku, maybe you shouldn't dash. This is going to be their 12th year as dash. Izuku's fanboy rant was silenced when Pixie Bob had covered his face with her claw. Your math is really off, kid. She glared down with a sinister smile. I'm 18 at heart. Sure. Izuku said. Lady, get your claws off my friend, Mayday warned. My family isn't known for liking cats, so I suggest you back away before I have to dash. Parker. Aizawa warned. That's enough of your mouth, keep this up and I'm calling your parents, they will escort you home, to New York. Mayday figured that was his lame attempt at an expulsion threat. Still, that age thing is kind of sad. She's not wrong, Jiro Kirishima felt. Flurry quickly rushed over to Pixie Bob and Mandalay, bowing to them. Please forgive my cousin. It's fine, don't worry about it, Mandalay insisted. Everyone, greet them properly, Aizawa said. Nice to meet you, the class said, minus Mayday who faked it and Bakugou who barely said anything. Mandalay gestured to the mountain area. We own this whole stretch of land. The training camp you'll be staying at is at the bottom of the mountain. Huh? Then why did we stop here? Ochako asked. I think we both know the answer to that, Suyu worriedly stated. Sato grew nervous. There's no way they'll do anything too crazy, right? Just to be safe, let's get back to the bus, Siro said. Yeah, let's hurry, Kaminari said. Right now, it's 9:30 a.m., Mandalay mischievously said. If you're fast enough, you might make it there by noon. Yeah, they're nuts. Mayday said. No way this is happening. Kirishima said. Holy CRP. We should run. Mina said, everyone turning tail for the bus. Kiddies who aren't there by 12:30 won't get any lunch. Mandalay playfully warned. You should have guessed, Aizawa said as Pixie Bob jumped in front and activated her quirk. The training has already begun. What's she doing? Flurry asked. Suddenly the ground started to shake and all the students were caught in a mudslide. Oh my god! Ochako shouted in fear. Is she controlling the ground? Izuku wondered. Cats SEK. Mayday angrily shouted as everyone fell off the cliff. As the students groaned in pain and annoyance down below, Mandalay called down to them, just so you know, since this is private land, you're free to use your quirks. You have 3 houses to get to the facility, you should be able to make it, if you can get through the Beast Forest. The Beast Forest? Izuku asked. Sounds like a setting in a fantasy game, Kaminari said. Is it as bad as the ever-free forest? Flurry wondered. This isn't Equestria Flurry, I doubt we have to worry about magic or anything, Mayday said. Still, this pisses me off. When I see those stupid cats again I'm gonna raise hell. Can't trust cats, that's what my mom always says. I thought it was just black cats, Flurry said. Or what it black cat? What are you girls talking about? Kirishima asked. Black cat, some girl who liked fooling around with Uncle Peter back when they were teenagers, Flurry explained. She dressed up in this stuffed skin-tight black suit that exposed her cleavage, carried around a WHP. Boy does she sound hot, I don't think I'd mind her using that WHP on me, Kaminari giddily stated. Put a lid on it, we don't need two lecherous kids, the little midget is enough, Mayday said. I don't think I've heard of this black cat chick, is she pro? Kirishima asked. No, she's a thief with a quirk that gives you bad luck, Flurry explained. Late at night she would steal valuables, but the one thing she couldn't steal was Uncle Peter's heart. Of course, Spider-Man's a hero, he wouldn't be thwarted by a villain, Ochako said. Actually that's not how it happened, Mayday said. Dad was head over heels for her but she only liked him as Spider-Man, outside the mask he was just a plain, boring guy and she ended up breaking his heart. Sounds like a real witch, Mina said. Wait, hold on a second, Kirishima said. You said a stuffed cat burglar, right? Is this related to that lady in Gotham City? You mean Catwoman? Mayday asked. No, they're separate, they just happen to have the same idea. I mean it's a cat costume, again, fetishes, like those scampy heroes that got us into this mess. Along with that treacherous teacher of ours. I hate to agree with Parker but she's almost right about Aizawa, this was just another dirty trick from him, Jiro said. No use complaining, we should hurry through this forest, Kirishima said. Then later you can tell us more about that black cat woman, and if she's still single, Kaminari said. This woman turned down Spider-Man, what hope do you have? Jiro asked. That's hurtful, come on, a CC cat burglar is the best gift on the eyes for a dude, Mineta agrees, right Mineta? Kaminari looked aside for his friend. Mineta? Not too far off, Mineta ran around scrambling for a place to relieve himself, I managed to hold it in, now I just gotta dash. Suddenly a giant beast made its presence known to the class, freaking almost all of them out. We're so gonna die. Kaminari shouted in panic. It is like the ever-free forest. Flurry shouted in fear. What is the ever-free forest anyway? Kaminari asked in panic. Koda quickly ran at the beast, please calm yourself my giant friend. You don't want to hurt them. The monster swiped at Mineta, prompting Izuku to rush in and save him. Koda can control animals with his quirk, is this one immune? He then saw a piece of dirt fall off. A dirt clod. This must be Pixie Bob's quirk. Back with the two pussycats, as Pixie Bob monitored the class through her visor, Mandalay had conversed with Aizawa about the class, you have them on a pretty tight schedule eraser. The goal is to get an entire second semester of knowledge in, Aizawa explained. That's going to be a lot of work, but the reward is worth it. They'll get permits to work in the event of an emergency, along with provisional licenses so they can do official hero work. Plus with the recent villain attacks, they need to defend themselves. Back in the forest, Izuku began to power up his quirk to his limit, one for all, full cowling. As he did so, Shoto ran in with his ice to freeze the monster's leg, leaving it stuck long enough for Mayday and Bakugou to punch off its arms while Izuku dived down with a smash punch, completely destroying the beast. I'm trusting you with this Pixie Bob, Aizawa said. Leave it to me. Pixie Bob said. Oh, I'm so excited about this. The students had regrouped after the destruction of the beast, needless to say the class was impressed by the fighting abilities. Wow, you guys took down that beast in seconds. Sato said. I'm so relieved, Mineta said. Too bad it's all over my pants. Hey, I'm just glad that thing's done, Kirishima said. Let's try for the camp again. There's more, Bakugou pointed out. Mayday's spider sense alerted her to another beast incoming, as it began leaping around through the trees. He's right, that monster has friends. Alright, this is way too unfair, Kaminari said. Should we run? Mina asked. This isn't good, what if we don't make it to camp in time? They won't feed us. Sato said. Then we must cut through these woods through the shortest possible route, Momo said, the others agreeing. We should go straight, that should be fast, right? Flurry asked. Right, now let's go Class A. Tenya declared. Shuji used his extra eyes and ears to listen for anything incoming, there's 3 flanking each side. A total of 8, and they're coming. Jiro warned. I got this one. Hantashiro said, lunging at a flying monster and using his tape to wrap its wings and then take it down. Wow, that's clever. Flurry said. Got the idea from your uncle, of course, Siro said, remembering about a fight between Spider-Man and his enemy the Vulture. Sato. Kirishima. You're up. Rikido Sato ingested several cubes of sugar as Kirishima armored up, rushing at a monster and using their punches to destroy it. Dark Shadow. Fumikage Tokoyami sent out his bird assist to swipe the monster with his claws as Masahiro Ujiro jumped after and attacked with his tail. You're up, Aoyama. Ujiro said. Bounjoir mon ami, Aoyama said, using his naval laser to finish it off. Damn it. Mineta threw a bunch of his ball at a monster, covering it up. You stupid monsters are the reason I peed myself. Mineta, run. Kaminari jumped on the monster that Mineta just balled up. 1.3 million volts. He used his electricity to completely fry a monster, leaving himself stupefied in the process. Fly, my feathery friends of the forest. Koda said, summoning some birds to attack a monster. Remove this evil beast from this world. Mina rushed in while the beast was distracted and melted its legs, gotcha. During this, Toru ran off in mock fear. Oh no, that beast is gonna get me. I'm so totally helpless. Thanks for the distraction, Hagakure, Momo said as Mina high-fived the invisible girl and used her acid on the monster chasing her. Everyone duck now. Momo used a cannon she made to blast the monsters. Great job, Momo. Toru complimented. Mayday quickly webbed up a monster, leaving it stuck in place. Flurry. This way. Mayday called, holding her hands in a volley position. On it, cuz. Flurry rushed over to Mayday and stepped on her hands, the spider girl hoisting her up and over the monster's head. Crystal Love. Using her magic beam, she blasted a massive blast at the monster's head, knocking it back while Mayday jumped up to grab her cousin to safety and land a kick to finish off the monster. Yeah, teamwork. Mayday said, landing down and letting Flurry off. Ochako used her gravity quirk to affect a monster. Tsu, he's all yours. I got it. Tsuyu said, using her tongue to wrap around the monster and hoisted it up into the air as it floated away. Release. Ochako turned off her quirk's effect, letting the monster fall to the ground. More of them are coming. Shuji warned. Mayday groaned in annoyance. Any of you wanna bet that Class B isn't going through this bullshit? For real, seems like everything happens to us, Siro commented. Shoto used his ice to freeze the monster as Bakugou rushed in to blast it. Hey! Stay out my way, icy hot. How about you find a different prey, Shoto suggested with a hint of snark in his voice. Izuku zigzagged across some trees, using the momentum to punch through a monster as Tenya used his reciprocal burst to take another down. Hiya! Pixie Bob said from high above, still controlling the monsters. Ganging up, huh? Well, that won't work on me. Hey, Koda. This way. Mandalay called to the boy who was observing. What a bunch of idiots, chasing a pointless dream, Kota said, making his way back to the girls. Hours had passed. It was 5:20 p.m. as Pixie Bob waited at the cabin alongside Eraserhead and Mandalay, taking note of the oncoming students. "Here comes the litter." "That took longer than I thought," Mandalay said. The students emerged from the forest, all of them worn out and out of breath, many having overused their quirks. Tenya was limping, Ochako was ready to throw up, Kota's throat hurt him, Mineta was bleeding from his constant quirk use, Aoyama had a stomach ache, Kaminari was still brain-fried and Mayday looked ready to hurt someone, namely a cat. "I thought you said it would be a 3-hour hike," Zero said. "Sorry, we went estimated based on our abilities, we didn't account for yours," Mandalay said. "Now you're bragging about yourselves?" Sato asked. "I hate you with a passion," Mayday said. "I'm starving," Kirishima commented. "Can we eat?" "Please, I need food, and a bath," Flurry said, nearly on the verge of tears. Pixie Bob started to get overexcited. "Wow, I thought it'd take you kiddies longer, but you got through faster than I thought, well done. I especially live the 5 of you." Pixie Bob pointed to Izuku, Tenya, Bakugou, Shoto and Mayday. "You seem quite experienced." She licked her lips in satisfaction. "I call these kiddies. I'll groom them myself." Pixie started jumping around the floor, getting in way to close. "Hey! Cut that out!" Tenya shouted, trying to stay back. "Seriously! Back off!" Bakugou warned. "I'm really gonna hurt you." Mayday warned. "Hey Mandalay, has she always been like that?" Aizawa asked, gesturing to Pixie Bob. "It's gotten worse, she's at the age of taking a mate," Mandalay said. "Mate?" Mayday shouted. "Lady, I'm only 15, and I'm not into girls, so back off before I tell my dad and he'll kick your butt." "Wait, speaking of age though," Izuku began, then had his face covered. "Choose your words wisely, little boy," Pixie Bob warned. "You're way too sensitive about your age," Mayday said, then pulled Izuku away. "And stop bothering Izuku. He gets enough CRP from hot head over there," Mayday gestured to Bakugou, the boy turning his head away in annoyance. "I'm just wondering who that boy is over there," Izuku said, gesturing to Kota. "Oh, he's my nephew, he just lives with us now," Mandalay said. "Go introduce yourself, Kota, you're going to be around them for the next week." Izuku walked over to Kota, holding his hand out. "Nice to meet you. I'm Izuku Midoriya from the UA High Hero course." Kota responded by punching Izuku right in his groin, the hero in training falling over in a quick instant. "Izuku!" Flurry rushed over along with Tenya. "Oh man, a punch to the SCRTM is no laughing matter," Tenya said. "What's a SCRTM?" Flurry asked. "His TSTCLS," Tenya answered, somewhat awkwardly. "Hey kid!" Mayday shouted, angrily marching toward him. "You have 5 seconds to convince me not to tear you a new one." "Parker, do not physically engage him," Aizawa warned. "Well, someone needs to give this kid a spanking," Mayday shouted. "Seriously, what the hell was that about, you runt? I have no interest in being around wannabe heroes," Kota said. "That's fine, we don't want to be around spoiled brats," Mayday said, making her way back to Izuku. Bakugou seemed to smile, very genuinely. "Heh, kid's got spirit." "Not that different than you personality-wise," Shoto said, angering Bakugou. "Hey, shut your DMN mouth, want me to blast you to hell?" Bakugou shouted. Sure," Shoto said, not caring about the threat. "Is that guy serious?" Mayday asked, gesturing to Katsuki. "The first time I've seen him genuinely happy, and it's because Izuku got punched in his ball. They might be bruised too." "How are they feeling, Izuku?" Flurry asked. "I'd rather not talk about this to a girl," Izuku said. "But I'm alright, nothing I can't handle." "Good thing I'm a girl, I don't think I can handle that," Flurry said. Flurry, if you got punched in your vna it would hurt just as much, Mayday said. Don't say that word. It's dirty. Flurry said. Huh? Mayday said. No it's not, a dirty word would be if I said pu dash. Excuse me. Pixie Bob interrupted. That word is an unacceptable synonym in the presence of cats. I'm gonna lose my mind this week, Mayday lamented. Suddenly the door to the cabin opened, one man in a long brown trench coat stepping out to greet the students. Well now, so this is Class 1A of UA High, you kids seem like a rowdy bunch. Behind him came a girl in a cowboy hat, tipping said clothing item to the kids, glad to see y'all here in one piece, I don't know what you went through, but you must all be tough as nails to pull through. No way. Mayday said, recognizing the two. What brings you two to Japan? Flurry asked. The man turned to their direction, a favor from friends. Izuku noticed the man had eyes similar to Mina's, and he looked very familiar. Y'all can thank Peter, this was his idea, the girl said. Wait, I know you, Izuku said, looking to the man. You're Gambit from the X-Men. Hey that is Gambit. Kirishima said. No way. A member of the X-Men. Zero asked. Wow this is great. Gambit's so cool. I can't believe he's staying with us. Mina said. Who's the lady though? Sato asked. I don't think I know her. I believe that's his wife Applejack, Momo said. My family buys some of their products. Uncle Remy and Auntie Applejack are staying here. Mayday asked. My dad actually got you two to come. What about your farm? Rogue offered to watch over it while we were here, the other X-Men are gonna stop by, Applejack said. Peter thought it'd be nice if we came to help keep an eye on you kids, heard y'all got into a few scrapes, Remy said. Well we're happy to see you both. Flurry said. This totally makes up for the nightmare forest we just came out of. Glad to hear it, Remy said, then focused on the kids. The wife and I are gonna be helping your training MES Amos, better bring your A-game. Oh, tu parles français? Aoyama asked. Remy looked surprised, then turned to Applejack, a native French speaker in Japan. Didn't see that coming. I'm from France, I take it you are too? Aoyama asked. Actually I'm from New Orleans, Remy said. Well I live in upstate New York with my wife now but I was born in Cajun country. It's true, Remy grew up in the bayou before joining the X-Men, Flurry said. Now he lives in a town called Ithaca where he and his wife run a branch of the Apple family farm. Wait, so he lives in a farm in New York? Zero asked. Didn't think farms could exist near a city. Dude, there's more to New York than the 5 boroughs, Mayday said. Upstate is mostly country-like, which is why they own a farm. It's nice branching away from the farm in Ponyville, Applejack said. Even if I do miss my family there. So you're Applejack right? Izuku asked, getting the girl's attention. You're one of the elements of harmony. Ah, so you've heard of the elements? Applejack asked. Guessing Flurry introduced you. This is izukumidoriya, he's my best friend, Mayday's too, Flurry said. Oh so you're Izuku, thought I recognized you from the sports festival, Applejack said. Pinkie Pie was telling me about you when I spoke to her on the phone the other day, said you're a brave boy and as cute as a cinnamon roll. Huh? Izuku bashfully rubbed his head. That's nice of her. Peter says you got a lot of potential, eager to see that, Remy said. Hopefully you got past that whole breaking your bones thing. I did, I'm still working on my strength, but I'm getting there, Izuku said. Peter did want me to train you myself, but of course I'll make time for all of you, especially I was told of by my friends, kids like Katsuki Bakugou, Tsuyu Azui, Ijiro Kirishima, Kyoka Jiro and Ochako Uraraka, Remy said. Huh? You train me? Bakugou asked. Yeah, see, I saw you at the sports festival too. You did great until the final round, Remy said, Bakugou snarling in anger, both unaware of Mayday's snarky smile. But I also noticed that you like to make things explode. Remy brought out a card, then charged it up a bit. Something I'm good at myself. Remy tossed the card to the ground nearby, causing a minor explosion. I can teach you if you're willing to learn, please my friend, show me that you can put in the effort and try not to disappoint. Pro Hero Gambit, his quirk, kinetic energy. With a touch he can make any non-living item explode, the blast radius depending on the size. He's also fights using his trusty staff. I'll be helping WHP y'all into shape as well, Applejack said, cracking her knuckles. Let's see just how well you live to your school's reputation. Apple Farmer Applejack, her quirk, strength. Like the mighty earth pony of equestrian legend, Applejack has immense strength that has been honed by her years of farming. She packs a very mean butt kick. Alright, that's it for the intros, Aizawa said. Get your stuff off the bus and into your rooms, we'll be eating in the cafeteria. Afterward you can bathe and sleep. Tomorrow your training starts in earnest. Now get a move on. Later on the food was spread before the students, each of them eagerly digging in. Wow, so tasty looking, Izuku said, grabbing some food for his plate. Finally, some food. Flurry grabbed a bunch for her plate as well. I'm gonna eat good tonight. The students began to chow down, Applejack in particular finding this enjoyable. Pace yourselves, you got time. And try to leave some room, I got some dessert fair y'all. None of you have experienced true taste until you tried one of Applejack's tasty apple treats, Flurry said. I'm always down for any type of dessert, Kaminari said. As he ate, Zero turned his attention to Jiro, seems like you girls are in a tiny bunker. Is the boys' room bigger or something? Jiro asked. Can I come check it out later? Mina asked. Sure, whenever you want, Zero said. Kirishima chowed down on his food, I can't believe how tasty this is. This is as good as lunch rushes. Kaminari continued to chow down as well. I think I'll eat until I burst. I smell beef, Kirishima said, stopping his food intake immediately. You got meat over there. Of course, wow, it's like you haven't eaten in forever, Pixie Bob said. FYI, this is the only time we'll be cooking for you, make sure you kids enjoy it. Thank you, the two boys shouted. Mayday stacked a bunch of meat, cheese, and various vegetables in between two slices of bread, this is gonna be awesome. That's a lot of food there Mayday, Tsuyu said. Can you really eat all that? Of course, see my metabolism burns pretty quickly, same thing happens to my dad so we gotta eat a lot to make sure we don't wear ourselves out, Mayday said. Plus I made sandwiches like this all the time back in New York, even at home in the condo I'm staying at. Wow, I had no idea, Tsuyu said. Is your dad always hungry? Sometimes he gets hungry, but my mom knows what to cook for him to get a proper fill so he doesn't starve much during the day, Mayday said. Plus it's not like he needs to eat every second, just that when he does eat, he needs a lot. You can imagine how tough it was back when he was poor. He was poor. Tsuyu said. Oh, is this before he got married? After too, surprising since my mom's basically royalty, but after they got married they moved to New York City and stayed at an apartment for a while, Mayday explained. My dad was a bit reluctant to accept financial help, he wanted to be a strong working man like his Uncle Ben. I do remember him telling me about his uncle once, Tenya said. I can only wonder how close the two were. I wouldn't know since I never got to know him, but Aunt May always told me stories about him and I can see why my dad admires him so much, even naming my little brother after him, Mayday said. Your little brother's cute, I got to see him during my internship, Ochako said. Looks like he has your mom's quirk though. Sure does, Mayday said. Which can be a pain since he can't control it well but he'll get better, he's a Parker after all. Still, for your dad to go through that and pull through, that's really manly, Kirishima said. I have even more respect for him. Yeah, it was tough but he pulled through. He had to take a couple of jobs, and this was after becoming a pro, but he made it work, Mayday said. My dad's awesome like that. Ochako, who had overheard, did find herself agreeing, Peter really has gone through a lot, to think he was as poor as I am, probably why he took so much pity on me. Must have been a lot of competition in New York if your dad was pro and still needed more jobs, Kaminari said. Well yeah, New York had a lot of pros, but my dad really wasn't the best with paperwork, Mayday said. He still thought like a vigilante and basically worked off the clock. Deep down he never cared much for the idea of a pro hero, he believes. That being a hero means helping people for the sake of helping them, not because it's a job. Right, he's told me that, Ochako remembered. Too bad that way of thinking is often looked down upon, Shoto sulked. Hey Kota, please bring me those vegetables. Mandalay asked. The boy reluctantly picked up the nearby box, still with a sour look on his face. Izuku seemed to notice, feeling sorry for the boy. He looks unhappy, Flurry commented, getting Izuku's attention. What do you think could be bothering him? Not sure, wish I knew though, Izuku said. Later on it was time for the students to bathe, the boys in their side of the bath and the girls, most of them, on the other side. Food was good, but there's something much tastier on the other side of this wall, Mineta said. Just a tower of wood stands between me and heaven. Mineta, what are you doing over there? Izuku asked. Mineta had his ears against the wall, feeling very happy and excited, oh my angels, for them to stagger the times we can be naked near each other. Mineta, you are to stop this behavior at once. Tenya shouted. You're degrading both the girls and yourself. It's shameful. Yeah man, didn't Johnny Storm warn you about this? Zero asked. Johnny? Mineta tried remembering the hero. What would Johnny Storm say at a time like this? In Mineta's head. What are you, a dumbass or something? Johnny asked. Get the hell over that wall for your eyeful of bub and butts. Back in reality. I will get that view, sir. Mineta grabbed the ball off his head and began climbing up the wall. Time to go plus ultra. Don't use our school motto for something so degrading. Tenya shouted. It's happening, I will make you proud, Johnny Storm. I will get a glimpse into heaven. Time for my moment. Once Mineta reached the top, he saw Kota in his way. If you're gonna be a hero, Kota kicked him down. Try acting like a decent human being first. You little SHT. Mineta shouted as he fell, Tenya quickly catching him, but the boy lost his balance and fell in the water, making a huge splash. What the hell did that moron Johnny Storm tell that little pervert? Bakugou wondered. Kota looked down in disappointment at this so-called hero in training. What kind of heroes are they supposed to be anyway? Mineta really is the worst, isn't he? So you called. Great job, Kota. Flurry said, both girls getting the boy's attention. Yeah, thanks Kota, babe. Mina called out, sitting out of water and unintentionally exposing her body to the boy. He also got a glimpse of the other girls, some covering up, except Flurry, who didn't seem to care that her upper body was outside the water, and Toru, she was invisible anyway. Kota immediately freaked out when he saw this and fell backwards, Flurry freaking out. Someone catch him. I got him. Izuku rushed in, full cowling and catching the boy before he landed. Izuku. Did you catch him? Flurry asked, standing against the wall. Yeah, I got him, he's alright, but it looks like he fainted, Izuku said. He noticed some BLD in the boy's nose, likely from seeing the girls naked. I guess the sight of us was too much for him, Flurry joked. We really didn't think he'd be bothered, I mean he's a little boy. Of course that's the logic I'm going off Frankie with, guess all boys are different. I'm gonna bring him to Mandalay, Izuku said. I'll be right back. Sure thing. Flurry said, turning back to the girls. Izuku's got this. That's a relief, Ochako said. Glad he's not hurt. Wait till Mayday hears about this, Flurry said, getting back in the water. I still don't get why she didn't want to bathe with us, Toru said. I mean, she shouldn't be too bothered, we're all girls. Mayday doesn't even like changing with us, let alone getting into a bath, Flurry said. Like I said before, she's only comfortable if it's me, Rina or Frankie. Alright, changing is one thing, but is she really cool with bathing in front of a boy? Jiro asked. I mean, Franklin seems like a nice kid, but I wouldn't want to be naked in front of him. The four of us used to take baths together when we were kids, that's why we're so comfortable around each other, Flurry said. I mean, Frankie does feel awkward if he sees us too indecently dressed nowadays, plus Mayday and Rina sometimes feel embarrassed around him if he's like that, but in the end we all trust each other. Has he seen you naked recently? Toru asked. Just curious. I mean, he's seen us in our underwear, and Rina has occasionally changed her BR in front of him, mostly to tease him, Flurry said. I think it's because I don't get embarrassed since to me it's no big deal, so I kind of rubbed off on Mayday and Rina. Kind of like how Mina doesn't mind being naked in front of someone, usually at least, Tsuyu said. Yeah, I'm flexible like that, Mina said. I remember you mentioning that, you used Midoriya as an example of a boy you wouldn't mind seeing you naked, Jiro said. Looking back, that was oddly specific. How? Because I said Midoriya. Should I have said Ida or Todoroki? Mina asked. I mean, I'd be cool with them too, I just went with Midoriya because he was on my mind that day. He really impressed me with his moves, until he got hurt, I was a bit worried about him. You didn't seem that worried, Jiro said. Well, I was mostly furious because I lost that race, I really thought I had the win, Mina said. Still, I was afraid he got hurt really badly, but I knew he'd be fine, he's one tough boy. You know, speaking of Midoriya, there's something that's been on my mind about him, Momo said. Do any of you girls find him attractive? Ochako quickly glanced at Momo in surprise upon asking, Momo? That's a bit surprising of you to ask. Yeah, it is. Oh, do you have a crush on Izuku? Flurry asked, looking hopeful. Momo quickly shook her head, and no, I don't, but I just remembered something Rainbow Dash said to All Might before the practical exam. You mean that thing about him not messing up Miridia's handsome face? Mina asked. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's terrible looking or anything, but he's not really that attractive either, he's very plain and average, Momo said. I could understand if it were Todoroki or Ida, she said that too, but Midoriya doesn't strike me as the pretty boy. I don't know, he is kind of cute, Mina said. Maybe it's the freckles or his messy hair, since it reminds me of mine. Though Rainbow Dash probably said that to make Midoriya feel better about himself, he does seem to lack self-esteem. True, but I want to know what everyone else thinks. Momo turned to the earphone girl. Do you have any opinions on Midoriya, Jiro? He's average at best, honestly, Jiro said. His biggest turnaway is his muttering, it can get a little weird and creepy, plus he's a total fanboy. I mean, I don't want to knock him for that since we all have someone we admire, but he takes it to such a weird level. True, he does tend to do that, Momo said. What about the rest of you girls? Like Mina, I also think he's cute, but I'm not sure if he's boyfriend material yet, seems like he's still working out a lot of personal issues, Toru said. Midoriya's nice, and I can see why someone would find him attractive, Tsuyu said. Objectively speaking, he's a good-looking boy and he's very kind. It helps that he didn't get grossed out by me like a lot of other boys did, rather he saw my good qualities. I wouldn't date him for specific reasons, but he wouldn't be the worst choice. Still have your eyes on Frankie, Tsu. Flurry theorized. I think Izuku's cute, in my opinion the best-looking boy in class, and I would totally date him if he asked me out. Are you saying that because you mean it, or because he's your friend? Jiro asked. Both, Flurry said. Look, you can't deny that Izuku isn't charming in his own way. He always thinks of others before himself and he's very easy on the eyes. Attraction isn't always physical, his personality can greatly add to it. I mean, Minoru's a little cute, but his perverted nature is a bit of a turn away for me, mainly since I'm not used to boys like that back home. Even so, you and Parker seem to overrate Midoriya on occasion. Honestly, it can be pretty annoying to deal with, Jiro said. Flurry pouted in disappointment. Well, sorry that I care about my best friend, but if you took the time to get to know Izuku you'd see that he's a very nice boy and you'd understand why I think he's the most attractive boy in class. Let's not get into a dispute here, everyone is entitled to their own opinions, Momo said, then gestured to Ochako. Uraraka, you haven't answered yet. You seem to be quite close to Midoriya yourself, do you find him attractive? Ochako could barely think properly. Doesn't help that Aoyama's words keep replaying in her head. Well, he's a nice-looking boy, I guess. I mean, we're just friends and, well, does it really matter? It's just one pro-hero's opinion, and she probably just said that to mess with All Might since they seem to be good friends and that's what friends do, they mess with each other. I guess. Momo found Ochako's reply to be a bit weird and erratic. It's just my thought process. Almost wish Mayday Parker were here to get her answer. If you asked her she'd just tell you it's none of your business, Flurry said. So I wouldn't worry about it. If only I were as bold as Mayday in that regard. I don't think my denial is working. Ochako started to mentally flip. Denial. What am I thinking? I don't have a crush on Deku at all. Her nervous reaction didn't go unnoticed by Flurry, the Crystal Princess making her way over to her friend, leaning in close to speak out of range. Ochako, are you sure there isn't anything you want to tell me? No, I'm fine, it's just, things are a bit weird, Ochako said. Let's talk later, after the bath, Flurry said. I know something's on your mind, if you don't let someone in then it's just going to eat at you more. Ochako really didn't want to do this, but at the same time, Flurry did have a point. Perhaps she could trust Flurry with this, after all Flurry's a nice and caring girl. Alright. Meanwhile the boys on the other side, who overheard a good chunk of the conversation, were mostly impressed with Izuku and his popularity among girls. Man, Midoriya is such a lucky BSTRD, Kaminari said. He's the talk of girls, our buds come a long way, Kirishima said. Flurry said I was cute. A love struck Mineta said. She also said you're a pervert, Ciro reminded. Still, I'm halfway there at least, Mineta said. Meanwhile in the lounge, Izuku had brought Kota over to Mandalay, the pro resting her nephew comfortably on the couch. Eraser told me one of your classmates was girl crazy so I had Kota keep watch. Mandalay placed a towel over his head. Goose, that's the risk that comes with teaching kids your age. Remy, who was standing on the wall nearby with Applejack, let out a brief chuckle. Reminds me of how Bobby was back when he was at the boarding school. Boy just loved peeping at girls. Bobby? Izuku asked. You might know him as Iceman, Remy said. Oh yeah, I know him, one of the founding members of the Xmen, Izuku said. Wasn't just Bobby, Johnny and Peter used to peep at Twilight and Rainbow Dash, Applejack said. I mean at least Peter backed off, nice boy, but PBRTY wasn't kind to him, didn't help that Johnny and Bobby were bad influences. Heh, bit strong to imagine Spiderman as a pervert, Izuku said. Anyway, I'm just happy that Kota is alright. You must have moved pretty fast to catch him, Mandalay said. That's good instinct right there, Applejack said. That goes a long way with being a hero. Yeah. Izuku said, looking a bit down. Why so glum, Sugarcube? Applejack asked. It's just, Mandalay. Izuku got the woman's attention. Is there a reason Kota doesn't like heroes? It's a bit weird for me since I've grown up around people who want to be heroes, myself included. I find it difficult to believe a boy his age could not be interested in all this. You're very observant, Mandalay said. Kota isn't alone, many in our society don't approve of us, you can ask Gambit, he's met a few in his lifetime. Learned at the young age how cruel the world can be, Remy said. Even people with quirks don't like heroes very much. If he had a normal childhood, he would have probably admired heroes like most other kids, Mandalay said. What happened? Izuku asked, just as the door opened. Kota's parents were heroes too, until they were killed, Pixie Bob said, bringing in some tea. 2 years ago a villain had killed Kota's parents, Mandalay said. They died protecting citizens, which is a noble way to die, but it's strong to explain to a child that their parents died nobly. To him his parents left him behind, to everyone else, they were considered noble and were constantly praised, which can be confusing for a child. Truth be told, he doesn't like us very much, or the fact that his parents were heroes, he just feels like he has nowhere else to go. Heroes never made sense to Kota, he believes if not for heroes, his parents would still be alive. Izuku remembered Shigaraki's words at that very moment. That's why these idiots are smiling, they believe that if their hero is happy then they're all safe, what a bunch of morons. Losing parents at a young age is strong fair kids, took me a while to come to terms when my parents died as a little girl, Applejack said. Could be worse for him, at least he ain't alone, but that only solves part of the problem, Remy said. Sometimes a tragedy like that could make a starting point for a hero, or a villain. Not saying Kota will become evil but if he continues his resentment then, well I really shouldn't say. I'm just hoping that boy there can come to terms soon, but he's got good role models, so I think he's in safe hands. You make it sound easy, Mandalay said. But you're right, it is my job as his aunt to be there for him, I just hope I can do right by Kota. Izuku took time to register everything, so many different viewpoints on heroes, so many different opinions. To shrug any of them off would be irresponsible. Yet. At the moment, Mayday knocked and peeked her head into the room, hey I just finished showering, can Uncle Remy or Auntie Applejack? Mayday was at a loss for words when she saw Izuku, the boy dressed in nothing but a towel around his waist. Mayday, you were saying? Applejack asked. Mayday didn't respond, she was just gawking at Izuku, what I would give for him to just pin me against a wall and, oh my. May, you still with us? Remy asked. Yeah, sounds nice, Mayday replied, much to Remy's confusion. That girl's really strange sometimes, Remy felt. Later on Flurry and Ochako were seen talking outside, sitting on a picnic table, one girl wanting to vent out her emotions, the other wanting to help in any way. So Ochako, you've been acting a bit erratic since the practical exams, Flurry began. I noticed first when Sue asked you about what Yuga had said to you, then again when we went shopping at Kamino. Even this morning when we were going on the bus you were all excited 1 minute, but the next you freaked out, at least 2 of those times it involved Izuku. Why yeah, guess so, Ochako said. Let's not forget what just happened, when Momo wanted to know who had a crush on Izuku, you gave probably the most awkward answer, Flurry said. So that leads me to wonder, Ochako, do you have a crush on Izuku? Ochako really wasn't sure about this. Not that she didn't trust Flurry, quite the opposite, she trusts her a whole lot. It's more that she can't bring herself to say anything. Ochako, Flurry took the girl by her hand, trying to calm her with her powers. You can be as honest as you want with me. I know, it's just, embarrassing, Ochako admitted. There's nothing embarrassing about it, if you like someone then that's alright, it's human nature to feel attraction, Flurry said. I just want to know so I can help in any way. Ochako nodded her head, trying to show trust to her friend, alright, truth is, I kind of like Deku. There, that wasn't so strong, Flurry said. So, is that why you've been really erratic lately? Did Yuga have anything to do with this? Sort of, during the practical I was trying to think of what Deku would do if he were in a tough spot, I guess Aoyama noticed and asked me straight up if I was in love with him, Ochako said. Really made me start to think about us, and how we could be more than just friends. I mean, if another classmate can see it then. Well, to be fair, Fleury interrupted. He said the same thing to me back at the entrance exams. Remember when he saved you from that giant robot? He noticed how worried I was for him when he lost consciousness and asked me if I was his lover or something. How did you handle that? Ochako asked. Well, it was easy to say, no, I just met Izuku so I didn't love him, not that I don't believe in love at first sight. But I also won't deny that he's cute, like I said in the bath, if he asked me out, I would not turn it down, Fleury said. If you feel that way, why are you helping me? Ochako asked. I just want you to feel better and not let this distract you from your training, Fleury said. It seems to bother you, so I figured if you told me how you were feeling, it'd help you get the frustration out in the open and you'd feel better about it. That's really kind of you, fitting for a princess of love, Ochako said. Well, technically that's my mom's title, I haven't fully earned it yet, but this isn't about that, I just want to help a friend, Fleury said. Come, tell me everything on your mind. The two girls talked for the next hour or so, Ochako somewhat pouring out her feelings to the best of her ability, Fleury providing her understanding. The next day at 5:30 in the morning, the students had been standing outside, mostly ready. Truthfully, a good chunk of them were tired since the sun had just risen. Good morning, class, Aizawa said. Today we will begin our training to increase your strength. Our goal is to increase your skills to the point of a provisional license. This will allow you to face the dangers that fester in the darkness. Proceed with caution. Aizawa tossed a softball to Bakugou. Look alive, I want you to throw this for me. Like the fitness test, right? Bakugou asked. Your record at the time was 705.2 meters, let's see if you've improved, Aizawa said. Oh, this is checking our progress. Mina said. I bet he can throw it a whole mile after what's happened the last 3 months. Siro said. Go for it, Bakugou. Don't blink, or you'll miss it. Bakugou smugly said as he threw the ball. Now die. If that's his hero catchphrase, it's really not very heroic, Mayday commented. Bakugou seemed pretty confident in himself, until he heard Aizawa's score, 709.6 meters. Ha! Bakugou shouted in disbelief. That's it, kind of disappointing, Siro said. I thought Johnny would have helped him a little more than that, Mayday said. You've all improved this past semester, that I won't dispute, but it's been mostly limited to technical and mental abilities, and a little extra stamina, Aizawa said. But your actual quirks haven't fully improved. That's going to be our focus. Aizawa started to smugly grin, freaking out Fleury as she does not like it when he smiles. This will be so strong you'll feel like you're dying, so try to survive out there. Not too far off, Class 1B had gathered together outside, also very early in the morning, many of them tired and nearly falling asleep. Today you'll all be focusing on your quirk strength, the 1B homeroom teacher Vlad King said. Our quirk strength? Kendo asked. What does that even mean? Rina asked. You'll see, now let's go, Class 1A already had a head start, Vlad Kind said, leading his classmates. They got a head start. Man, their teacher's stricter than ours, Rina commented. How does Fleury survive? She's got the will, that's for sure, Franklin said. Don't dawdle, let's go. Vlad King said, the class following. Last semester Class A was in the spotlight, now it's our turn. Don't let me down. We're such a disappointment. Tetsu felt, as tears strummed down his face. Fellow students Shurhei Kurwaro and Kojiro Bondo felt the same way. Manga Fukudashi, who could only speak through text, had tried telling them that they're all crying too much right now. What makes Class A more popular than ours, I wonder? Rina asked. Is it because they're a first letter in the English alphabet? Also, why is a Japanese school using the English alphabet anyway? America has a big influence on Japan, that's why, and vice versa, Franklin explained. Be grateful since it makes our transition a little easier. Still, what do they have? Not to be like Nito, but I'd like to think we're all impressive too, Rina said. Is it because they have 3 students who are children of heroes while this class is just you and me? Keep in mind that villains attacked them back at the USJ, a fight against villains means a lot of extra experience that we didn't get, Franklin said. That's why they got to fight my aunt and uncle, as well as your parents in the practical exams. Imagine if our class had to fight Spiderman, Juzo Hananuki said. He'd probably stomp us, honestly whoever went against him, and passed, are really lucky. Which kids went against Spiderman? Sen Kaibara asked. Tenya Ida and a guy called Ejiro or something, Franklin answered. That's what Mayday told me. Ida. That's one of the kids who had that run-in with the hero killer, right? Juzo asked. If he can survive that, then I guess he could last against Spider-Man. Which kids went against your parents, Rina? Setsuna asked. I don't remember one, but the other was Tetsu's rival, Ejiro Kirishima, Rina said. Kirishima fought Wolverine. And survived. Tetsu asked. Yeah, his training with Vegeta really paid off, Rina said. Hey, Tetsu, didn't you train with Vegeta as well? Juzo asked. Maybe you could have handled Wolverine too. Vegeta, that guy's really scary, Tetsu said, remembering the Scion Prince. Honestly, with his training, I thought he was gonna kill me. What about your mom, Rina? Setsuna asked. A couple of nobodies that she probably went easy on, Rina said. Kyoka Jiro isn't a nobody, she was involved in that fight against the Brotherhood, Franklin said. The USJ invasion, the sports festival, Stain, the Brotherhood, fighting pros at the practical exam, Class A got everything. Tetsu said. What about our turn? When you get stronger. Vlad King scolded. That's why we're doing this quirk training, to help you catch up. Question, sir, with 22 unique quirks in our class, what type of training would even help all of us? Setsuna asked. When your muscle fibers are overused, they break and grow back tougher and thicker, Vlad King explained. Quirks are no different, they improve the same way, stronger after every workout. So you'll have to break yourselves. Class 1B was amazed by what they were seeing. The students of 1A looked like they were putting themselves through torture to increase their powers and abilities. What's happening? Rina asked. I can explain, came Remy's voice, the hero walking in with Applejack. Morning, Rina, Franklin, rest of 1B. Sup, Gambit, so what are these knuckleheads up to? Rina asked. Remy gestured to Bakugou, who was dipping his hands in hot water and blasting into the air. Well, that Katsuki Bakugou is plunging his hands into boiling water to increase his sweat glands, then firing off in quick succession to get used to using his quirk more. Applejack gestured to Shoto, who was sitting in a barrel of water while constantly changing its temperature. Shoto Todoroki, is trying to get his body used to extreme heat and extreme cooling. I think he's aiming to be able to use both powers at once. Remy gestured Zero, that boy Hanta Zero is shooting off a bunch of tape to help grow its speed and agility. Applejack gestured to Ejiro whacking Kirishima with his tail. Ejiro Kirishima is letting himself get hit by Masha something. She looked at her pad. Masahiro Ejiro's tail to increase his endurance, apparently the boy with the tail will improve its strength from using it. Remy gestured to Kaminari using a generator. Denki Kaminari is running his electricity to that generator so his body can handle more. Remy chuckled a second, remembering another electric-based hero. Though I say he should try using some blast shards. Applejack gestured to a screaming Koda. Little Koji Koda over there is working out his vocal cords to increase his range fair when he talks to animals, and to help him feel less shy. Little something Fluttershy suggested after his practical exam against her. Remy gestured to Aoyama, my fellow French-speaking friend there. Yuga Aoyama is strengthening that naval laser of his to increase the range, and feel less sick even after really firing off with it. Applejack gestured to a cave where Tokoyami was. All that was heard was his screaming, Fumikame. Fumikage Tokoyami is learning to control that dark shadow creature, even in extreme darkness. Remy gestured to Ochako in a rolling ball. Ochako Uraraka is trying to get used to the nausea she feels when she uses her gravity powers too much, starting with her ears, and hoping to increase the amount of weight she can lift. Remy took a second look at her activity. Also, that looks kind of fun. Applejack gestured to a running Tenya. That boy Tenya Ida is trying to improve his speed using some intense long-distance running. Though if he wants to learn more about leg strength, I'd be happy to help. Remy gestured to Tsuyu climbing a cliff. Logan's old intern Tsuyu Azui there is working on all the muscles in her body, including her tongue. Boy can she climb, Spiderman would be proud. Applejack gestured to the eating duo of Sato and Momo. That boy, Rikido Sato, who didn't do too well against Wolverine, is lifting weights and eating sugary stuff. Boy does that look tasty, almost as tasty as my apple brown Betty's, and I don't mean my aunt, which I offered but he wants to try with regular sugar before dash. Ahem, cherry, going off topic, Remy said. Applejack blushed in embarrassment, right sorry. Anyway he needs to improve and control his sugar intake enough to not get tired, hence the weightlifting. The girl next to him, Momo Yayorozu, did I say that right? Getting a nod, she continued, she's actually eating my apple brown Betty's to help with her creation quirk and shorten the time to use it. You love talking about them apple brown Betty's, Remy commented, then gestured to Jiro and Mina who were using their quirks against a cliffside. Kyoka Jiro is honing them earphone jacks of hers so she can increase her hearing while that Mina Ashido is creating a bunch of acid to increase her skin's resistance to the stuff. Applejack gestured to Mineta plucking his bald hairs. Mini mine Minoru Mineta, yeah that little boy is plucking them sticky ball off his head hey don't laugh. Rina stifled to the best of her ability, sorry that sounded so weird. He's taking those round things of his head fast to increase his endurance and hopefully stop his head from bleeding so much, Applejack said. Remy gestured to Flurry, who was blasting some rocks that had been set up. Flurry there is working on her magic so that she can use more power without exhausting herself and trying to build up her strength in the process. Applejack gestured to Shuji and Toru, that boy Mizo Shuji is using his freaky arms to look fair an invisible girl working on her stealth. What was her name? Toru Haga, Hagaka. Remy checked his pad, Hagakure. Right, dang some of their names are too strong to pronounce, Applejack said. It's not them, it's mostly me, I'm not good with long names. Took me a while too, that's why we have this pad, Remy said, holding his out. This way we can learn as we go. Applejack turned to the class, y'all understand? To her annoyance, it looked like some of them fell asleep. Hey! Up and at 'em. That seemed to wake most of them up. Man, y'all would not make it as farmers, let alone heroes if you can't handle early hours. They'll get used to it, that's what this camp is for, Rina said. I'm used to it because Pops used to train me in the early hours. Well hopefully we can help these kids out the same way, but I'm optimistic, Applejack said, looking over her pad. I'm gonna have more names to memorize though. Wait, why does one of the names sound like the same first and last name? Seems like a typo. It's not, my name is Tetsu Tetsuetsu, the Metal Power Boy said. Huh, interesting. Applejack said. I can't judge since my name sounds weird if you natively speak English, and I do know someone named Bon Bon, though maybe I shouldn't compare that much, I'll get used to this, don't worry. Says here you can turn your skin metal, reminds me of one of my X-Men teammates, Remy said. You mean Colossus right? I get that a lot, Tetsu said. I've tried researching his abilities, figuring that would help. It did, a little. Just remember, do what works for you as well. Many have similar quirks, but what defines them is how they're used, Remy said. We're going to focus on strengthening body types related to your quirks, Vlad King said. Normally we would wait for this to grow naturally. But we don't have time for that, Aizawa said, making his way over. Your class has a lot of catching up to do. Oh, it's that creepy-looking teacher of theirs, Rena said. Rena. Be nice. Franklin scolded. I gotta say, with both classes here, that's 44 students with quirks to keep an eye out for, even with Gambit and his wife here that seems like a lot, Kendo said. Which is why there weren't the only ones, Aizawa said. That's correct. Came the voice of Ragdoll, the third member of the Wild Pussycats. 4 kittens and 1 litter. Your feline fantasies are here. Mandalay said. Say, meow. Now who wants to lift a healthy paw? Ragdoll asked. Moments later, a bigger, more bulkier cat hero came. Let's have a big serving of justice, with our tails. Perfectly cute and cat-like heroes. Pixie Bob said. Getting together, the 4 posed, we're the wild pussycats. Rena scratched her head, what the hell is this fever dream? I'm Ragdoll and my quirk is search, came the shortest of the heroes. I can look up to about 100 people and know everything about them. Like their location and weakness. With my earth flow I can create the ideal training ground for all you students. Pixie Bob said, using her quirk briefly to make the ground shake. My quirk is called telepath, Mandalay said. I can communicate with multiple people at once. The name's Tiger, the 4th more masculine hero said. I'm here to grind you kids to dust. Why is that guy wearing a skirt? Rena asked. Tiger pointed to the students, all you kids with strength quirks, time for Tiger's boot camp. We already have 2 Class A kids with a head start. Tiger gestured to Izuku and Mayday, both doing some weird exercise that was mostly embarrassing for the spider girl. You look stupid, May. Rena called. F off. Mayday shouted. Language, young lady. Applejack scolded. Tiger appeared behind the 2, come on, show me your stuff. You first, Midoriya. Izuku charged up, 5%, Detroit smash. Izuku tried for his punch but Tiger easily dodged and hit Izuku with an uppercut, knocking him into a tree. Izuku. Mayday shouted in worry. If you don't push yourself, you won't shred your muscle fibers, that will prevent your strength from increasing. Tiger said. Sure thing, sir, Izuku said. Louder. Tiger shouted. Sure thing, sir. Izuku nervously said. He's scary, Kaibara felt. Don't you kids want to be plus ultra? Tiger asked, almost rhetorically. Show me what it means. Yes, sir. Izuku said. Good, now young Parker, Tiger said, turning to Mayday. Hey, I'm a bit out of your league in power, so maybe dash. Mayday's rant was interrupted when Tiger kicked her against a tree. Overconfidence leads to slacking, always be willing to improve. Tiger said. Freaking hate cats. Mayday angrily shouted. Franklin took the moment to approach Mandalay, so you're a telepath? I have a similar quirk. I'm aware, I know who you are, Franklin Richards. I'm a big fan of the Fantastic Four, they are the epitome of a proper 4-hero team after all, Mandalay said. Well, that saves the intros, I guess, Franklin said. Truthfully, I am curious about you because your quirk isn't flashy or used much for combat, but you still seem to make it work. How can I do that when I don't have great physical capabilities? It's not about the quirk, it's how you use it, Mandalay said. I'll be happy to train you and help make you a better hero. Sweet, thanks ma'am, Franklin said, trying to do a proper Japanese bow. Did I do the bow correctly? Yeah, Mandalay said. She could tell he was trying at least. But don't worry too much about it, you don't have to force yourself to abide fully by out culture. Sure, Franklin said. So question, Rena said. How and why are these pussycat heroes along with Gambit and Applejack here? Where are the teachers? Right now there's a lot happening at UA, so we can't spread ourselves too thin for the first years, Vlad King explained. The pussycats were chosen due to their range of power and their total experience, so they were more logical to bring in and help raise your quirk capabilities in a short time, Aizawa said. Gambit and Applejack came mainly from Spiderman's suggestion. He claims it's for the safety of you students, but I get the feeling it's mostly for his daughter. Harsh much mon ami. Peter cares for all these kids, not just his daughter, Remy felt. Don't fall behind Class A, Vlad King warned. Do me proud. Yes sir, the class said. Izuku laid on the grass, somewhat exhausted from his quirk training. Allmight's quirk was more than I deserved, and Gran Torino taught me to use it in a way so that I won't destroy my body. I've really come a long way, but now it's on me to move forward. Izuku? Mayday knelt beside him. You feeling alright? Better than ever. Izuku quickly got up. I'm ready for more training. Good. Now let's tear that weak quirk apart and make it stronger. Tiger said. Yes sir. Izuku shouted. Mayday looked impressed by his energy. Wow, not used to seeing Izuku all fired up. I like it better when he's not so shy. How about you little girl? Ready to build your body up? Tiger said. You know, your father went through training like this himself. Back in the day Captain America put him through hell to turn him into the man he is now. Now I'm gonna do the same for you. Just try it. Mayday said. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 2. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Masterob on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.